You sat next to the mic so you can ask this question.
I didn't even realize that.
I've been in the mic, yeah.
It's too snug next to you. You just go behind you.
Say it around the control from you.
I will. I might
And
see.
John.
Okay, I might see them next week.
And Megan.
so. Oh, with the feet. Good catch, thank you.
Nice.
What is that noise?
Every time. Put it. It's
Like a cannon?
can't.
Oh, okay. You're saying I remind you of something. Just because officers are too close.
I can step out.
Okay, yeah, sorry, guys.
good?
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
So you're trying, so then I just don't want to keep them too close. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Please take note.
I'm just telling you.
Please take note.
Good afternoon. Gonna have my fun mask on today here, so we're all set. Vegas Golden Knights chance. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here and joining me this afternoon. We've got an important announcement to make, and then I'd be happy to take some questions as we get to the end. In the past few weeks, I convened a group of state officials who have expertise to review our standard statewide operating guidelines, compile options for adjusting some restrictions on our public life. At the same time, we continue to watch numbers for signs of progress and whether the current mitigation measures that are in place are having an impact. I'm pleased to say the answer is yes, they are. As of September 27th, Nevada's test positivity rate, measured as a 7-day average, was 7.8%. That is down from 15.7% on July 9th. Nevada's confirmed COVID-19 hospitalizations have been on an overall downward trajectory since August 4th. That's a total of 55 days. The impact of mitigation measures, masks, social distancing, hand sanitation, are working. You are making a difference. These results did not come about by way of chance or good luck. They came about as a result of hard work on behalf of Nevada residents who day in and day out are practicing the social protocols that we've asked them to do. One of the primary focuses of the work completed over the past few weeks on adjusting restrictions on gatherings. And I'm happy to be here today to announce the results of that hard work. Before we get into specifics, as a friendly reminder, we are nearing the 7-month mark since our first case. 7 months. Today, we're taking another step to gradually adjust our lives and learn how to coexist with the virus until a vaccine is proven and distributed and administered. Today, I will cover the highlights of the new emergency directive that will impact gatherings. After all, gatherings touch every facet of social and economic life in Nevada, from weddings to funerals to church services and conventions. I look forward for the next portion of this overall rollout, which will deal with youth sports and adult recreational sports. I know how anxious our families are, and I want to thank the NIAA and other leaders throughout Nevada who I am working with currently to ensure our next steps are safe for our kids, and we're working to coordinate the program between NIAA, which is a high school regulating body, and local sports, youth and adult groups. We're hopeful we will have an announcement in the next week to 10 days. I look forward to the next overall rollout of this, and as I say, will be in the foreseeable, very near future. The state is working hard to create extensive guidance on how to safely host and attend gatherings that allow for a larger capacity than the 50 we currently have. The guidance in detail will be on our website after this press conference. That website, for everybody's knowledge that doesn't know, is nvhealthresponse.nv.gov. That's nvhealthresponse.nv.gov. Today I'm going to outline the most critical components of our adjustment to gatherings. The current limit on public and private gatherings is capped at 50 people, 50. We have now increased the limit on public and private gatherings to 250 people, or 50% of the capacity, whichever is less. This 250 is in addition to the staff that is at the event. For example, in a faith gathering, it's in addition to the priest or the rabbi, to the choir, to the volunteers, to those that are working the event. So the 250 is attendees that is in addition to those that are working at the event. I have heard from so many that have shared the anguish of not being able to go to church or celebrate a wedding or another milestone. I have had several calls this week with our faith leaders in the community to work through the specific details as it relates to church and in-faith gatherings, and you will find those again on the website at nvhealthresponse.nv.gov. I appreciate the faith leaders taking such an active interest, providing us with input on how to move forward, and we thank them for that and hope everybody enjoys the ability to get back to religious worship. The directive allows for gatherings larger gatherings in larger capacity at some venues under very strict guidelines that I'm going to go through here for you. If a larger venue defined as having more than 2,500 fixed seating capacity wishes to host more than 250 people, and can meet the extensive requirements necessary to host a gathering, they can host a gathering of up to 10% of their total fixed seating capacity. This would include, but is not limited to, examples being Lawler Event Center, the Thomas and Mack, Legion Stadium, Sam Boyd, and numerous other convention facilities. In order to be able to do this, there will be extensive requirements, most notably, a qualifying larger venue must submit a large gathering COVID preparedness and safety plan to the local health authority for review for compliance with public health standards, and to confirm that the event will not overly burden the local health system. Then the plan must be submitted to the appropriate state oversight authority for approval. Only the state, I'm going to repeat, only the state can approve larger gatherings. Additionally, a larger gathering is required to separate attendees by establishing sections of no more than 250 people. These sections have to be distinct and independent to prevent individuals within one assigned area from entering another assigned area. Each section should maintain separate exits and entrances and should minimize the use of shared restrooms and concessions with patrons of other sections. Venue staff will be allowed only to work within one section. For example, in T-Mobile, if they are seating just for arbitrary sake to say seats 20,000 people, they could ask to seat 2,000 people in there. They would have to go into groups of 250 within the venue that would each have to have social distancing. We asked them to provide ingress and egress in each of those individual sections and any concessions and restroom facilities in each of those. Conventions, conferences, trade shows, and similar gathering activities have a significant impact on our largest businesses, workers, and our economy. I don't need to tell anyone that 4 miles on Las Vegas Boulevard, the Strip, is the fuel that keeps the engine of this state running, and we're doing what we can to provide a safe environment, protect our residents, and at the same time allow the economy to begin to reopen. A venue will now be able to host a gathering such as a conference, convention, trade show, professional seminar, or other similar gathering for 250 attendees if all the guidance is followed. Again, the 250 limit does not include people that are working at the venue, people that are putting the venue on, or any performers that might be at the venue. If a convention or conference wants to host more than 250 attendees, they will have an opportunity to host up to 1,000 attendees if all requirements are met, including the approval of a plan, breaking up the attendees into the smaller groups of 250 or less, and following protocols that minimize commingling or cross-pollination, as we call it, between the various pods that are going to be in the facility. This is an important first step towards revitalizing our hospitality industry under the strongest social distancing and safety guidelines in the nation. As I said early in this crisis, while we look forward to the day we can celebrate the full reopening of our critical world-class tourism and hospitality industries, we will only do so under the safest of conditions, and we can contribute to move in that direction in a gradual and well-constructed way that ensures we are the safest destination. I now want to move away from addressing all of you that are here today to talk directly, and I want to speak directly to the businesses, the associations, the groups who love coming to our state, particularly to Las Vegas, for meetings, conferences, and conventions. I assure you, today is only the first step in getting back to our new normal. As you plan your next corporate meeting or convention, I know you may be considering locations in other states who have recently announced a complete lifting of all restrictions, including safety restrictions that are none. But before you make a decision, understand that Nevada is not only open for business, we plan to be open for the long term. We are focusing on your safety and providing you with a great experience, but a safe, great experience. That's why we're taking safe steps with the goal of preventing a roller coaster of up and down cases that leads to uncertainty for planning for meeting and convention and event planners. We're doing it responsibly here because you matter to us. Your well-being matters to us. The safety of your participants matter to us. We will be the safest destination to bring your employees, customers, and families. We will open up in a safe, constructed manner where you will feel safe, your families will feel safe, and all of your event participants will feel safe. When it comes to Nevada, the health and safety of our residents, workers, and the visitors who come to this state is too precious to manage the gradual reopening any other way. If someone else is trying to pitch you on another standard that they have, I'm here to remind you that you deserve better than they are giving you. You deserve responsibility, a place with the strongest COVID worker protections in the nation, where industry workers and residents unite to be the gold standard. You deserve Nevada, and we're going to provide you with that gold standard of safety, worker protection, and a pleasurable experience. In addition to safely expanding gatherings for our faith communities, families, and businesses, this directive allows certain live entertainment options to return at our gatherings. with strict requirements. The directive relaxes restrictions on the use of playgrounds to allow public access if the local health authority determines it is safe to do so. Also, realtors may resume in-person showings and open houses with restrictions to protect the health of those living in and coming through the house or residence. These details will all be available on the website. All businesses and venues will now be required to post a capacity limit at the entrances. There are examples of signage that can be put on the front door or the front window that you should list what the capacity of the particular venue is. We've created those examples in both English and Spanish, and they can be downloaded from the NV Health Response website. Our new state guidance goes into great detail on the extensive requirements that must be met for holding gatherings of any size. And I won't go into all those details today, but they include social distancing, the wearing of masks, and proper sanitation. These changes that I have just mentioned will become effective at 12:01 October 1st. That's this Thursday. 12:01, the day after tomorrow. What will stay the same? We will continue to hold a course on other mitigation measures, including requiring face coverings in public spaces and strict 6-foot social distancing requirements. Businesses like grocery stores, retail stores, restaurants, movie theaters, museums that are currently open will continue to operate at a 50% capacity. The COVID-19 Management and Mitigation Task Force will continue to meet with counties that have an elevated risk of spreading COVID-19. We currently have 2 counties that have an elevated risk. If counties are found to have a sustained increase of risk of spreading this virus, the task force, along with local leaders, will continue to have the authority to make targeted decisions to mitigate this at the source. Nevadans have made so much progress in the fight against COVID-19, and now is the time to double down to ensure that we can lift these restrictions while protecting ourselves and our economy at the same time. I've said it before and I'll say it again because I believe it. If any state is going to come back stronger, it's going to be this one. It's going to be the state of Nevada. My next update will be on youth and recreational sports. We look forward to continuing to work with those managing youth and recreational adult sports, including the NIAA, to ensure any changes are done in a responsible, safe, and public health-driven way. That concludes my formal remarks. I'd be happy to take some questions.
We ask that you would come up to this microphone here so that the folks on the feed can hear the question, and if you wouldn't mind staying 6 feet apart if you make a line. Thanks. Go ahead, Jackie.
Hi, Governor.
Okay.
My first question is about the COVID case positivity rate. We've obviously seen a big decline in that 7-day average since July, but in recent days it's ticked a little bit upward. Can you talk about how that factored into your decision today?
Well, the decisions that we make have to be made, with data in advance. We have to plan in advance. I am extremely proud of the way our residents have handled themselves, the vast majority of our residents. Now, there's been a few exceptions, a few outliers, but the positivity rate did not come down by chance. It came down as a result of really hard work by a lot of people. I'm confident that they're back on track and that the rate will continue to come down. If we notice an undue uptick in our positivity and our hospitalizations, we maintain the flexibility to dial some of these things back, but I'm hopeful that won't be the case.
Hello, Gov Sisolak. We've been seeing a lot of violence on this trip recently. I know you're meeting with Sheriff Lombardo later this week. Are you going to be discussing this? Do you have any thoughts on a plan to kind of go about beating this? And then also for those tourists who are kind of seeing what's going on, what is your message to them to say, hey, it is okay to come here to Las Vegas? Yeah,
Las Vegas is a safe place to come, and I want to stress that to all our visitors that are coming here. I am in discussion with our resort community. We had several discussions this week, and I'm continuing to have these discussions with the sheriff. I have the utmost confidence in Sheriff Lombardo and the men and women of Metro to be able to be out in front of this and get a handle on this. It's unfortunate when you get some out-of-towners that are coming in and causing a problem. on our strip and making it unsafe for our workers, for our residents, for our tourists. But we're going to work hard to get it back to normal and stop the violence on the strip.
Is there any idea of other agencies maybe helping do this or have more officers on the streets?
No, Metro has, I think, sufficient resources to be able to handle this, and Sheriff Lombardo is an expert in this area, and I count on him coming up with a plan that will keep everybody safe.
We'll go Ken to the next question.
Hey, Governor, Ken Ritter from the Associated Press, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Ken.
I'll just boil it down. Why now? What other metrics have you looked at past positivity and hospitalizations?
Positivity and Positivity and hospitalizations are the biggest two that we've looked at. You know, it's extremely important. People have worked hard. Like I say, I cannot emphasize enough. We didn't get here just by the roll of the dice or chance. We got here as a result of hard work. I think people have earned the fact that they can get back to their houses of worship and be able to worship. The faith leaders have been very strong in communicating that. In fact, and I didn't add that in my remarks, and I'll give it to you, that when we say 250 in a facility, a church, if the church has room for, we could put 250 because of capacity, but there's also a gym area or a school auditorium or recreation facility, that one also could put people in it. So we could basically double up on that as long as there's not a cross-pollination. But I'm confident that the residents are going to step up. They're going to continue. They know that this is not the end. This is the first step towards getting us where we need to get back to. But we need to get some people back to work, and I'm confident under these circumstances we can get them back to work safely and get our economy rejuvenated again.
I'm going to follow with one
Sure.
other question, if it's okay. We're just getting up to time when we might see a bump from Labor Day. Are you confident we're past that?
Yeah, I'm confident we're past Labor Day. We had a few outlier events subsequent to Labor Day that we still have some concern about. Labor Day, we still have an issue with some. There we had the family gatherings, larger family gatherings that turned into neighborhood gatherings and whatnot, and we're working with the local jurisdictions to get a handle on that and to notify people, but hopefully we're through Labor Day and people understand that these gatherings that exceed the limits, which are 50 until Thursday morning, are not allowed, and they need to do a better job if they've got a gathering of over 50. I do not want to put the health and safety of our residents and our tourists at risk because someone is selfish and just wants a bigger gathering.
Outlier events, just to clarify, would include the rallies, and are we sure we're past that?
We're not sure we're past the rallies, but they would include an indoor gathering that has several thousand people, certainly.
Thanks, Ken. We'll go to the next question. If we could try to keep it to one at a time, and then we'll cycle back through.
I won't come back.
Hey, Governor, it's Ed Comendo with the Reno Gazette-Journal.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. So the capacity jumping from 50 to 250, or in some cases 1,000 for conventions to go through the proper protocols, how do you get to that number? How do you jump 5 times? What are the mechanics behind that?
Well, you get to there based on the facilities. You can't go from necessarily 50 to 100 to 150 to 200 where you have so many steps in place. There's a certain economy of scale that you can only open up some of these conventions when you could go to a little bit bigger number. The same is true when I had the faith gathering, the ministers on the phone. They made it clear that you can't go from 50 to 75 or 100. Some of them are small facilities because they have to have so many ushers and priests and rabbis and whatnot, cantors that might have to be there. So we had to come up with a number. 250 we thought was reasonable. It's not too big. It's not too small. It can be doubled if you go to a second venue, and hopefully it'll work.
And just to clarify, for counties like Washoe, which is still in the red for transmission, does this apply to that county, and how would that go forward?
It would apply to that county. Now, the county has the authority to make a stricter, more stringent recommendation if they choose to do that. That'll be up to them. They can go to the task force and present a proposal. We have an elevation in Washoe. Now, whether that's from the rally they had up north, whether that's from the excess cases at UNR, we don't know. It's from family gatherings. We're doing the contact tracing, but contact tracing is only as good as the information that people give you. So that's something that we're watching very closely in Washoe, and we'll be working with their health officials.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you.
We'll go to Orko next, and then Mary, you're in line, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hi, Governor. Thank you for answering my question here. A lot of families are going a little stir crazy with all the restrictions. Coming up soon is Halloween, I know, a lot of people are talking about trick or treating. Do you have any specific recommendations for families, communities?
We do not as of this point. We will before Halloween. We'll try to get it as quickly as possible. The CDC has issued their guidance that they are not proposing any trick or treating, and I know that's a tough thing for the kids. But we will come up with some guidance for Nevada in the weeks ahead.
Thanks. Mary, and then I think Jackie's next.
All
Hello,
right.
Governor.
Hi.
Mary Hines. I wanted to ask you about the Trump political rallies. Were you surprised that only one case was tied to those rallies? I know you'd expressed a lot of concern about the rallies.
Well, I do have a lot of concern about the rallies, and I don't know that we're tied that it's only one case. I mean, when you do contact tracing, if you follow it through, it has to be done based on what the people tell you. If they tell you they attended a rally, that's something that's going to be noted. If they don't tell you they're going to attend a rally, you don't know that they attended the rally. A lot of those people did not come from Douglas or Minden. I mean, they came from Washoe. They came from California. We don't know the exact impact that had on the numbers up there, but we are obviously seeing a surge in the numbers in Washoe and up north.
Is there evidence that there's a greater impact than the one case that was identified by Nevada State health officials?
No, and I say that the contact tracing, that person volunteered that they went to the rally. We don't have information that more people went to the rally or not. We're just getting to the 2 weeks on the rally, but we don't have any other specifics as it relates. There's just an overall surge in Washoe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. We have time for a few more, so we'll come back to Jackie and then Kyla, right?
Hi, we saw quite a few conventions or corporate meetings canceled through the end of the year. Can you talk about what type of interest has been expressed to the city in terms of resuming those and how soon?
Well, I've talked to the resort properties currently that are trying to book these conventions. You understand that they're not booked a week or two out, they're booked months in advance. We want to ensure people that they can book a convention here of reasonable size that fits within our parameters. And if they've got one already booked for January, February, there's no need to cancel it because I'm hopeful that if we have these capacities now, we'll be able to up these capacities as we move forward. We're closely monitoring this with the LVCVA in terms of potential bookings and the hotels in terms of potential bookings, and we're confident that people will come back. I firmly believe when the businesses and the associations and the trade groups realize that we are the gold standard. I mean, we are doing temperature checks. We have social protocols in place regarding masks and social distancing. You go to these other states, they have nothing. And I don't want to open this back up and then have to unwind it in 5 or 6 or 8 weeks when they see the results of what no regulations are. So we're taking a cautious, measured approach as we move forward.
And then in that same vein, when these do return, will there be any extra eyes on it, enforcement-wise, to make sure people are following now that we have?
Certainly, any of them that happen in the resort properties are subject to the control of the Gaming Control Board. We have inspectors in the field on a daily basis to monitor the events. I am hopeful and I'm cautiously optimistic and somewhat confident that these properties know how important this is, that they know that this is the first step, this is their lifeblood to get more conventions and meetings here, and they're going to take it as seriously as I am. So I'm confident that working together we'll get compliance.
Thanks, Jackie. And we'll do last question here, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey, Governor Sisolak with Fox 5. Just had a question, kind of clarification with the live entertainment. So does this mean indoor shows also have the green light to go ahead on the Strip?
No. When you say the green light, there's just no standard green light. They have an opportunity to submit a plan that a live show could go forward on the Strip in a showroom or what have you. If they follow the guidelines that are put in place, the room would have to, like I say, be for 250 people. And they'd have to have the protocols in place, the wearing of the mask, putting groups together, households, separating the next group by 6 feet, and not being more than 250, but they could, yes.
Thank you. And we'll have extensive guidance available later tonight that'll run through all the stuff the governor went over today. So thank you all for coming.
Did I have one more? Did I cut somebody off or no? Did you? Okay. I don't want to cut her off.
Okay, go.
Thank you so much. Do you have any guidance for Clark County schools right now, including CCSU as well?
I do not, and I know we get a lot of questions. I get a lot of comments about schools, do this for schools or that for schools. Understand that we delegated the authority for schools to the superintendents and the school boards. They're the ones that will make that decision, along with our state superintendent, when the time comes. But that's not something that currently we are controlling. We've given that to the various school boards, and I can tell you that school districts across the state are handling it separately, differently, and it's up to them to determine the best way. Certainly. Okay. Thanks, everybody.